Welcome back to Idaho Today. March is Brain Injury Awareness Month, and coming up in May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Those are two topics that actually go hand in hand. Here to explain why they are so closely related and how important it is that we have understanding of this relationship is Todd Williams from Warm Springs Counseling Center. So great to have you here, Todd.
It's great to be here, thanks.
All right, so tell us more about Brain Injury Awareness Month.
Well, it's a national month. We actually have a few people from our board that are back in Washington. The traumatic brain injury funding is up for renewal.
Oh.
So we're hoping that we can get Congress to maybe put in some more money so we can get more awareness out there and try to prevent injuries, but also to help people once a brain injury has occurred.
Okay, and help us understand though, why should we be so invested in this? I mean, aside from the fact that obvious, no one wants anyone to really suffer from a major brain injury, let alone a traumatic brain injury. But what's the relationship though between brain injury and mental health as well?
Well, they're linked. Everything about our brain affects everything we do, how we feel, how we relate with each other. And when a brain injury occurs, and the statistics in 2001 showed in Idaho that the emergency departments had around a little over 1,900 visits that were specifically for brain injuries.
Okay.
And with that, there was a large amount of those that died because of it. And a large amount went to an aftercare facility, but the biggest amount were released from emergency departments. A lot of people don't know what to do after that because the individual that has the brain injury, we are changed.
Yeah.
I myself have a traumatic brain injury. I suffered from an assault on me in 2007.
Oh my goodness.
It changed my whole personality.
Yeah.
And it was really difficult on my wife and on my 6 boys at the time. And I didn't understand why. It wasn't until my great friend Ryan Newby helped me understand what was going on, because I was in the emergency department after being knocked out and everything, and they had my wife there and they said, okay, he's stable, take him home. That was just the beginning.
Yeah.
It was a month. I don't remember. I had just started a job, had training for 2 weeks, came back, have this, lost it all.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guilt involved. I'm fine. No one, maybe you guys have changed, but I'm okay.
Yeah.
It's all wrong. We're different people.
Yeah.
So it affects the whole family, not just me, my friends, etc.
When you step back and you look at it, let alone from an emotional, standpoint, but just the physical standpoint, it's easy to make the connection and understand how a traumatic brain injury would have that type of impact. Because if someone were to break their leg, or they were to have a major traumatic injury to a certain part physically of their arm, their leg, any part of your body, we are very accustomed to the idea of, oh, well, geez, I destroyed my knee, I can never X, Y, and Z again, or I walk differently, or you're physically changed, and that makes sense. So it only makes sense that if your brain were to be injured, that you would suffer something similar, but out of sight is out of mind, right?
Right.
And so making that connection and that understanding, obviously, especially in your situation, is something that we fail to do, right? Hence why it's so important that we build that awareness so people are aware, so those that go through your experience and walk down your path know they're not alone, and that there's the resources that you need to make that full healing, right?
Right.
Because it's a journey, it's a process, and you need to know that you're supported, and that this is normal and it's okay, and that you're going to be okay, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And I saw an interview of a soldier
Yeah. Oh,
who
yes.
came back, and they're a huge portion of the victims of TBI and brain injuries.
Yes.
And one said, I wish I would have come back without a leg or a foot, because then people wouldn't ask me what's my problem. Yeah. Why can't I do this? Why am I always so angry?
Yeah.
And the interesting thing about TBIs and brain injuries is that there's a saying, if you've seen one brain injury, you've seen one brain injury.
Yeah.
Meaning
So
each
different.
one affects us differently.
Yeah.
And that's true with mental health.
Yes, absolutely.
People deal with anxiety a lot different.
Yep.
There's some similarities, but everyone is so different.
It's not one size fits all.
No.
No. Okay, so Todd, what can we do then here in the month of March when it comes to recognizing traumatic brain injury and then also understanding that relationship with mental health as well? Is there something that we can do as a community just to exercise more mindfulness, some perhaps patience, help, and maybe help somebody who might be walking down this path right now?
Well, become more informed about what it looks like, and for the person and their family, see their doctor and be very, very honest with their physician about, all right, I've had X many concussions, or I just was in an accident, that type of thing, and ask your doctor. Doctor's visits don't have to be 5 or 10 minutes. We need to ask, we need to let them know so they can do the best. And typically, see a counselor.
Yes, and like you said, be honest. Where can people go to learn more too?
At our Brain Injury Alliance of Idaho website, which is biaid.org.
Wonderful. Todd, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you.
And being so vulnerable. I know we've helped somebody today.
I hope so.
All right. Everyone, stick around. More to come right here on Idaho Today right after the break.